I think you should have optimism. People don't really know who these players are. And we'll find out. If it's a collection of solid players who are very coachable and are great in the film room and are really good in pre-snap, they're going to be good. I also think it's really fascinating that you have a head coach and a lot of assistants who had the advantage of 3 preseason games and those combined practices where they scrimmaged some. By the time the Patriots got to their last opener, Bill Belichick had seen his team 5 times against somebody else. Now he's going to see them every day only against themselves. What is his curve? That to me is, if his curve doesn't exist anymore and he's where he needs to be as a head coach, this team's going to be better than a lot of people think.
Ladies and gentlemen, anytime that we are joined by a legend, it's a special occasion, so we have to be in the same room together. AJ, Andrew.
I'm looking around, man. Who the hell are you talking about?
Oh, we're talking about you, sir.
Let me look under my laptop for somebody. Jeez.
Oh, man. Andrew Jones formerly of THI, Tarheel Illustrated, now of Tarheel 24/7. Dude, how have you been? What's the transition been like for you and the crew, and how are you enjoying it over there now?
Love it. We got resources. I could never publicly say it before, and I was telling you guys back in Charlotte, we had no resources when I was at Rivals. None. I mean, it was literally band-aiding things together to be able to make it from one day to the next, 1 week to the next, to travel. I covered every game, football and basketball. It was a challenge. I couldn't pay the staff that much, and there were times where I felt like I was asking them to do too much, and I really and truly was, but they came through for me, and we put together a really good product, especially given our resources. People don't realize that we were probably at 1/12 what our competition was as far as resources, which is why we didn't cover baseball, which is why we didn't cover women's basketball. But now here on this platform, we've got significant resources. We've got a national network that is incredibly awesome. They are on top of everything. They've been in communication with me a lot. We never had that before, and they know what they're doing. Guys like Tom Loy and Brian Doan and Eric Bossi, they're as good as it gets in the business, and they're now part of our team. They're now part of what we are. And it's allowed me to sort of pin my ears back and do a little bit more creative stuff. I love to tell people that I take my shovel everywhere I go. And now my shovel is being used a lot more because I'm able to dig up some interesting things and kind of go beyond the surface more often than I was able to before. A, because I had to do all the basics, and B, because there was a lot of minutia behind the scenes that I don't have to do as much of now. So it's going very well. We've picked up a ton of new subscribers since we launched. We still have 75% off until probably Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a great deal. A lot of holdover subscribers are very pleased with what we're doing so far. We're different, but we're the same in a lot of ways. I think Carolina fans are very fortunate, guys, that there are 2 fantastic media outlet sites that cover UNC athletics, and we are one of them. Absolutely. And we were one of them before, and now we're even more so. We got a bigger staff. We got John Henson on our staff. We got Mike Felder, who played football at Carolina. The great David Sisk. I love David to death, and I asked him last night, I need a Henry Vasar film review. Man, that's going to take 6 hours. I need a Henry Vasar film review. David will have that ready because David's got more time because he's just doing us. He's not doing Kentucky anymore. We still got Jacob. Everybody knows Jacob. Love him or hate him. And I say that in fun, Jacob, with a wink. And Kevin Roy, that's just
we love
hate
Jacob.
him.
We love Jacob.
Kevin Roy is straight up hate him. No love him. There's no love for Kevin Roy other than the fact he survived cancer. Of course, I'm kidding with that as well. But guys, I am so excited. This is exactly what I was looking for when I stepped away from THI, because I needed more life balance, and I have that. But I also have a level of journalism we could do now that is greater than before. When I say that in terms of numbers and the volume we can do, the more creativity that we have to work with, there's a lot of different palettes out there for consuming information. And our objective is to try to tap every one of those. And we can do that more now than we were able to before. So I love it. I'm thrilled.
Well, more life balance has got you hanging out with us. So I don't know if you ended up winning in the end here.
Right? But wasn't I late? I was late before and I'm late now. So at least I'm consistent, right?
You get that right.
You just got to take Jacob's phone with him away from him during the game. Because
I can barely hear you. There you go. What'd you say now?
Go ahead.
I said you just got to take Jacob's phone away during the game because some of those tweets he makes in game are hot, boy. There's some
Well,
spicy takes he has in game. Good gracious.
Jacob is out of my jurisdiction from tip-off to the end of the game and kickoff to the end of the game.
No, I love him, man. He needs to be. We need to have him on a post-game reaction with us at some point in time. I tell you, because I have a feeling.
I encourage that guy.
Just let him go. Just let him go.
And that's the thing is this situation now allows guys to sort of flap their wings a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we all had to do it. You know, when you have to turn out the lights and turn them on, you got to sweep and take out the trash and do all that stuff. You can't really put pictures on the walls. You don't have time to decorate. You don't have time to beautify. Now there's so many people involved that he doesn't have to do all the things. He can actually be more creative on the YouTube side. I can be more creative in terms of how I dig for information, how I the kinds of pieces that I write. Everybody can be that way. David Sis can be that way. So I think you'll see Jacob flap his wings more. Maybe you'll see maybe some more loony tweets during games from him. But I love that because I want him to be who he is. And I want people to see who he is. And not everybody's going to like him, but not everybody likes anybody in this industry. There are people that don't like Kirk Herbstreit. There are people that don't like you guys. There are people that don't like Dick Vitale, hated Dick Vitale. You know what I mean? So not everybody's going to be liked, but if you're who you are and it's genuine, I think eventually you will win most people over.
But everybody likes Paul Feinbaum. So North Carolina is in the middle of some fall camp right now.
When we stop recording, I'll tell you a quick Feinbaum story.
Oh, boy.
But I can't do it here.
Hit the pause.
Yeah.
I can't do it here.
Right, man. I'm excited for this. I'm gonna write that down now. That way we have that for later.
It's not directly him. It's about his show and something that happened a week and a half ago.
Even better.
Yeah, that's even better.
It was the day after I saw you guys in Charlotte, and it was about some of the stuff we talked about.
Oh, I love it. God, I love it,
Came out on
dude.
his show. So anyway,
I've got that written down, so we'll keep
Hold
that
me
one
to it.
there.
Hold me.
I will
to it.
hold you to it. I will hold you to it. Well, what you guys are over there at TH 224/7 now? I gotta figure out a quick way to say that.
Yeah, me too.
No. I honestly, the logo there at first kind of confused me. I thought it was like a TI. I'm like, what is this? But then I realized the H was there.
We're still tinkering with the logo. That's a Kevin Roy specialty. He gets credit or criticism for that, however you look at it. And and I have tasked Kevin with coming up with some more logo options, which is what's cool is we're still just feeling things out. I think you're going to see a lot of changes and some things that we do a lot now that we're sort of used to doing because the way we did it before, I think that we'll tweak. I'll use a Hubertism. We'll tweak, alter, and pivot those things and see where we land down the road.
Well, that's good, man. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing over there. For you to be so gracious with your time with us is absolutely amazing, man. And now we've got some actual football going on. We're just a few weeks away from a week 1 Monday night, Labor Day night, ESPN countdown, whatever the case, it's going to be in Chapel Hill. Is this the biggest game at North Carolina that you'll be covering? Being a reporter for insider for North Carolina since you've been for 12, 13 years now. Will this be the biggest game that you've covered, being this first game against TCU?
I did not cover the Florida State game in '97. That was my first in the business. I did not cover that one. That would supersede anything. That's the biggest game they've ever played and lost. Right. I did cover the loss at Virginia the year before, which was my first game I ever covered, which I still think is the biggest loss in Carolina history, when they blew that lead against UVA, and they would have otherwise been in what was called the Alliance Bowl back then, and then it became the BCS, and now it's the CFB. I would say this is probably the biggest opener, certainly at home, and probably the biggest one overall, simply because of the Belichick factor. I think it would be a really good opener anyway, like if Mack was still there, and this was a Saturday 3:30 kickoff on ESPN 65. This would still be a really cool opener. I love openers against Power Fives, and I got to credit UNC. It usually opens with a power conference team. If you look at the last 25 years, the program generally doesn't open up with the Idahos of the world. It opens up with power conference teams. It hasn't done that well until recently. Mack at least got them on the winning track there with some of those games. But I like games when teams from different big power conferences play each other. because we need to get as much intel as we can on the leagues, because college athletics is so stereotypically driven with, the SEC is the greatest, so it doesn't matter. Look at how Alabama played. They should have been in the field, but they lost to 2 mediocre bad teams. And SMU didn't lose to any bad teams. And they say, yeah, but SMU played the ACC schedule. I get all that, but let's get more of these games so we can truly know how good the SEC is. We can truly know how good the Big Ten is. If, let's say, the Big 12 has a great flare-up year. Well, if they play enough games against ACC, Big Ten, and SEC teams, they have a chance to prove that. And since the playoff is so valuable and so important, and some of these leagues think that they should go 4 deep in their conference, we'll prove it. So let's play more of these non-conference games like this, which is what I would prefer pretty much straight across the board. So, yes, I love it as a journalist because I get to learn a lot about a team I don't know a whole lot about yet. Nobody really does. And I also love it as a fan of sports because it's going to be a really cool spectacle. It's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to keep their journalist hat on the entire time because you have to step back and appreciate it sometimes. I've done it when I've covered Final Fours. I covered the Stanley Cup Finals in 2006, and before Game 7, I kind of sat back and allowed myself to take it in for a couple minutes. I'm going to do that Monday night, September 1st, because that stadium is going to have a buzz that I don't think it's ever had leading up to kickoff since I've been covering them. Now, again, Florida State in 1997 was huge. They turned away like 5,000 students or something for that game. I don't think that'll be the case now. The system is different, but the light show, the presentation, the Belichick factor, national TV, ESPN's going to be in there with a pregame show. I think it all lines up to be as big an opener for UNC football as anybody in the modern era has seen.
God, I wish we were going to be there for that game, dude. We're going to be doing a live watch party to be from our house.
Yeah, the tickets are too expensive.
Well, that's probably not bad. How big's the TV?
65.
Yeah,
that's good. And the fridge is how far away? How many steps? Yeah, fridge over here, relief area over here. You kind of got it mapped out pretty well.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm sure we can get it like a portable. I got a Yeti 45. We can ice that baby down.
All they need is a cigarette and a bowl of popcorn, and we're ready to roll. So there we go. But yeah,
I kind of figured you guys would be there. You go to a lot of games, don't you?
We do. A lot of life has happened this year. Is that a good way to put it?
Oh yeah, a lot of life has happened. I have a 1-year-old. I am currently. I don't think I've shared this on with the podcast yet. I am currently going deaf.
Oh yeah, to a degree.
I have to have a major ear surgery to try to keep me from being permanently deaf.
Oh wow. Sorry to hear that.
And that's in like 2 weeks. So,
wow. Well, let me know how that goes, and we'll send some prayers to you. I'm like at 40-50% my right ear. I had an ear infection a long time ago. It killed my hearing, which is why purposely I had my wife sit on my right, so I have the excuse to say I didn't hear her. There are advantages to not being able to hear super well sometimes.
My wife can't stand the fact that I really can't hear anything she says half the time.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
No. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I was just making excuses why I wasn't going to North Carolina this year.
Prayer warriors, man. Hey, no, get prayer warriors out there. The power of prayer works. Trust me.
That's it. That is true. And I left my job, took a 60 to 70% pay cut, and kind of restarting and rebuilding all over again. So,
wow.
Ooh, so yeah. So I haven't shared it with this podcast. I shared it with my personal, but I hadn't shared it on the here yet. So there's the news. While we're going to be grilling out for DC.
Please keep me updated with what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely do. We'll do for sure. But you've been in and around the facilities. You've been able to actually get some availability. That was something that we kind of talked about a lot. In that you not having, and really the media around Chapel Hill not really having, but now you guys have been able to get in there, been able to talk to players and talk to coaches and Belichick as well. And what's your overall feel of Carolina in fall camp right now?
I actually feel pretty good about where things are going. Once I got past the fact that we weren't going to get the same access, which it bothers me from a professional standpoint, not personal standpoint, just because I want to be able to present as much as I can to fans, to our subscribers, or readers, listeners. Once I got past that and recognized that, okay, there's just other ways you got to go around it, which is Mack Brown spoiled us with how much access we got. So it's kind of going back to normal somewhat, maybe a little bit to the extreme of not getting stuff. But I have been very pleasantly surprised that Belichick has been available. He was available last Saturday, then Wednesday. We have more stuff this coming Wednesday, and I hope he's available then. I've been told that he's warming to the idea that the college media, when you cover a college team, they're going to go about things a little differently than pro teams, the media that covers pro teams, because the fans want something different. Plus, the fans are the owners. You know, when he was with New England, he had to answer to Robert Kraft. He didn't care what anybody else said. Now, every person that consumes information about his program is in some tiny little way an owner. So it's different. And
he even gave me a smile when we was at the media day when I asked my question. He smiled at me.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. And he's been doing that. I think he's actually given us answers. And I'll tell you the thing that I really, really like about him, and I'm going to do a show tomorrow with some national gambling thing, which is wild. I've never done something on a gambling show before, but I know that they're going to want to talk a lot about Belichick. I'm sure they're going to want to go in the area of you-know-who, which I won't go. Yeah. But the thing that I really, really like about him that I didn't know before, when some people meet not getting information with negativity, he doesn't blow up anybody in praise without them justifying it. How many coaches have you seen talking about a ninth string wide receiver? Well, he's fantastic. He's got a chance to be a real good player here, all ACC. I love Mack Brown to death in a lot of ways, and Carolina fans in time will as well, once they get over the hurt factor. But one of the things I really liked about Mack was he was so uplifting about kids, but he would maybe too uplifting. Such is going to be a pro. Okay, well then where are they? They're not in the pros. They've cut their time's come and gone. They're not there. And it's because he was so excited about what they could do. A lot of coaches say that, things along those lines. Belichick, he's not going to tell you, well, Jordan Shipp can be an all ACC receiver. He's incredible. He doesn't do that. Well, he runs a good route, makes a good break, he's got good hands, sees the ball well. And I was told by a source the other day that the pro staff, the pro coaches on staff are blown away at how well Jordan Shipp can stay in concentration when he's running a route, knows where the ball is, times it perfectly while jockeying against the defender. That's high NFL stuff. But Bill's not going to tell us that. And I like that because too many coaches give you BS. There's the coach speak where you don't say anything, and there's the coach speak where you say too much. And I'd rather a coach not say too much. I don't want to write an article about how Justin McCoy needs to be on the court to help Carolina win, like Hubert said, which wasn't true. I mean, right. Justin's a nice kid, solid player, had a nice year at Hawaii, but that wasn't an accurate statement. It was just Hubert's excitement about him. So we're not getting that with Belichick, and I like that. So there's not a lot of fluff to sort through. There's no fluff at all. So it's kind of straight. So if he does say something positive, you know it's pretty real.
I know his fluff daggum led to a lot of my 11-1 predictions. Go ahead.
That's on you, man. That's totally on you.
One of our viewers, Kevin, would absolutely agree with you on that. Go ahead.
So I'll dive in with this question, and I think this is going to be on everybody's mind. Can UNC punt block this season? Have you seen any special teams activities that'll lead you to believe that they can punts from being blocked?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't go too deep into this. Did I tell you guys in Charlotte about a conversation I had with someone who is very familiar with Mike Prefer, the special teams coordinator? I may not have. Anyway, my understanding is that when the staff got here and they hired a special teams coordinator and they started sort of looking at where things, like what are the leftover pieces from how things were done before, they were pretty surprised that it wasn't a 12-month thing in the way it should be. And I actually think there were some aspects of Mack's special teams that were pretty good, and he did care about it. But when the new staff came in, they wanted to put a more 12-month emphasis on it. And I was told there wasn't a 12-month emphasis on it. I don't know if that's 100%. That's what I was told. And that's partly why there were some breakdowns at times, and breakdowns that didn't get fixed in season because that was what they had. They weren't going to go get some different players to train them in certain roles that would maybe improve punt protection. The other thing is, I don't know what their punt protection is going to look like, but I've talked to a lot of people in college football and a few in pro. Now there's pro people around the program. They couldn't understand why the punt shield were basically 3 linemen, because they weren't quick. So if someone gets past, if someone's got a beeline to the punter, they're not laterally quick to react. If you're going to blow it up from the middle, you're fine. But they always believe that you should have tight ends there. Tight ends or even linebackers. People that are quick, but they can sustain a blow and give a blow. Little things like that. Mike Prefer's got a really good track record. And he is a coordinator. He's not the coach. He's a coordinator. I like that tag. His job is to coach special teams. He said that they have 66 guys in the depth chart right now in special teams.
That's
and the philosophy is, if you want to play in the NFL and you're not a star, you're a potential fringe player, you better learn how to play special teams, because that's how you make a roster. Mack Hollins is exhibit A.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
B, you don't want to play guys too much on special teams that they're starting, because there's a lot of plays, a lot of snaps in the game, and you can wear down. So there's a fine line. So you might have Andrew Simpson on a special team, but not on 4 special teams. So how do you fill up those other spots? Where do you put the freshman who's 18 and the game's still too fast for him, perhaps? Where do you put the 22-year-old who's been around and has a chance to play in the NFL next year? Or the 22-year-old like a Coleman Bryson, who might be on every special team and maybe be the captain of special teams, that he knows that's his job here in college, as I guess he's in grad school or something like that. There's a fine line in figuring out how to use guys, how they're going to help you offense, defense, and then how they can help you in special teams. The fact that they have a coordinator whose job is to go through that and sift through it, I think tells me that they will be prepared for different things that they see, and they will have the personnel that if the punch shield doesn't work, someone else is going to go in. They've already been working at that. Mm-hmm. They're not going to have to be told 10 minutes before, and hey, here's what you do. Not that happens before. I'm sort of joking a little bit there, but the degree of emphasis is much greater now on every aspect of special teams than it was before. That's what I've been told. I won't know till I see it, because if TCU blocks a punt and scores, then it's Carolina football as we've seen it, right?
Well, yeah, that's
no joke.
That's like the punt that JMU blocked. Then in the post press conference, Mack's like, "Yeah, we'll get that fixed in practice this week," and then Duke comes out in like the first quarter and blocks another.
Well, let's go back to Florida State in 2020.
Yeah.
They lose the game because of that. How about NC State later that year? I mean, it's been a problem throughout. It's the punt protection more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And Javon DeWitt came in. Mack brought him in, and we talked to him one day, and he's supposed to be this aficionado, and it didn't work. And it was head scratching. And the thing is, if you go back and look at those punts that have been blocked, it's been like the same mistake over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
So it'll be interesting to see timing, when they get it off, who's out there, what starters are on the punt protection team. Because look, a field can be flipped with one mistake there, and it could change a game. And obviously, Bill Belichick has spent his entire pro career always focused on special teams. Steve was a long snapper at Rutgers, so he gets it. And so it'll be very, very interesting to see how clean they are early, because they don't have any exhibition games. Like, I did some research the other day. I think it's in Bill Belichick's 29 years as a head coach, I think he coached 129 preseason games. I think it is somewhere along that. Yeah. So it's I can't remember what the exact average is. It was a note that I'm still working on, but he's coached a ton of preseason games, which would work out to be like 6.5 college seasons, 7 college seasons in full. Now he's not going to have one.
Yeah.
So we'll see how much emphasis is put on special teams that first game. Because TCU is going to be that way. Sonny Dykes' teams, wherever he's been, have been pretty good on special teams, and they might try to blow something up on special teams that first game. So we'll see. That's a good question.
Yeah, that and it's something that Alan brought up, the other day, if special teams is going to be rolling, just because that has been such an issue with Belichick coming in. We know that's a point of emphasis for him. He treats special teams just as important as the offense and defense, and sometimes it felt like, I'm not saying because I'm not in those meeting rooms when Mack was here, it didn't feel like as a fan that was a point of emphasis as much as it should have been, to put it that way. But with, you've been able to talk to coaches and everything, and you kind of brought up some stuff, and pro guys being in here now, and you've been able to talk to them, a few different coaches now. How, from where you sit, what is the feeling about the continuity between the coaching staff? Like, are they gelling well? This is something that Mack would always bring up around this time. Like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this coaching staff, bringing, Jeff Collins in and this, that, and the other thing. And, you get that. Is there a feeling that this coaching staff is gelling very well, considering it's all new? What is that gauge at, if there is one?
You just hit on one of Mack's mistakes, and what a mistake a lot of coaches make, and they don't realize at the time that when you tell us such and such is going to be really good, or this is the best, or one of the best ever, well, then we're going to judge you on that. I cover a team based on how they perform and what they say about how they perform in advance and after. And if the expectations are realistic. If I'm covering Elon basketball and they say, hey, we're going to the Final Four, I'm not going to judge them on that. But I will judge North Carolina basketball on that, North Carolina football on winning 8 games, let's say, 9 games. So Mack said that like 3 straight years. And we later found out that there was brawling going on, not literal brawling, but there were a lot of issues. Mack had issues. Mack and Phil Longo had issues. Oh, they had a lot of issues. Mack and Phil Longo had some issues. And I think that, they wanted to get to the same meeting point, but there were problems. There was a bumpy road getting there. I don't know how much that was the case with Jeff Collins, but Mack is a guy that wants to believe in people, and it's one of his strengths, and sometimes it was one of his weaknesses. He wanted to believe in people, and he wanted to sometimes build them up in a way that he thinks it can be, and sometimes would say it is a certain way before it actually is that way. I don't have a feel for this coaching staff. I know this much: they're pro guys. Pro guys change all the time. They're used to packing boxes and living out of suitcases and that kind of thing, theoretically. And they're used to working with a new coordinator, a new position coach. So it's probably not a huge deal to them, especially if the culture from the top is really good. Mack always ran a good culture from the top for his coaches. The problem is that some of the coaches, when you don't have the kind of success that you think you should have, that's where you're going to have issues. It's like that in any organization. So right now, everything's probably great because they haven't played a game, and Belichick hasn't had to come in the press room and talk to us about why TCU blew them up. So we'll find out how united and what the chemistry is of this coaching staff after they have some struggles. Because sometimes you can see it on the sideline. I tape every game I cover, and I try to go back and watch them. And you people used to text me about how Mack and Longo would be going out on the sideline during a game. I think there was that 6 overtime game at Virginia Tech was a game where they kind of had it a lot. And they had a 4th down situation in that game. I'll never forget asking Mack right outside the tunnel or outside the locker room about it. And he gave a very terse response. And it was sort of on Longo. So I thought that was very, very interesting. What happens when we get that terse response from Belichick about something? That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Because it'll happen.
Yeah. So let's talk about something happy, or let's find some happiness coming out of UNC fall camp. Is there a certain position group that is just shining that nobody really expects to shine, or you're not hearing a lot about?
I think right now what's important is that the areas that a lot of us thought were strengths going in, are they still perceived as strengths? And the back 7 on defense has, the people I've talked to, and I talked to a few of them today on the phone, man, if the front line could just have some gap control and just occupy blockers, this could be good defense, because they love what they are in the back 7. They love Thad Dixon and Marcus Allen at the corners. They love the safety. There's a lot of depth at safety. They love the linebackers. People are going to fall in love with Andrew Simpson by the middle of the second quarter, Monday, September 1st. And Kamari
That's a big
House,
dude, man.
Yeah, but I did a little thing on Kamari House the other day where I went back and I was just kind of read up, like, what were the Washington media saying about him after games in which he played a lot of snaps. And And he was the Big Ten Freshman of the Week one week after the Northwestern game. He was a true freshman last year. So I found the play in which he actually won Washington's Big Hit Award at the end of the season in their banquet. Now, he had already decided he was transferring to North Carolina, and he wins the Big Hit Award. It was a 4th and goal at the 1 against Southern Cal. Southern Cal had first and goal at the 2, and stop. And they tried to run, and he splits the gap and just destroys the running back for a 3-yard loss. 72,000 people go crazy. That was in November of his true freshman year. So I asked Steve Belichick about that, about his growth and making those big plays late in the year. Because if you look at the aggregate of a season, you're going to say, well, gosh, he played 9 snaps, 10 snaps earlier. That night he played like 37 snaps against Southern Cal. So the snaps went up, the productivity went up, the PFF grades went up. So if that trajectory stays and he comes to Chapel Hill and he continues to improve at that rate, what kind of guy is he going to be September 1st? Well, a lot of people that I've talked to around the program believe that he can be a phenomenal player, and he's just a true sophomore. So Simpson's the big guy who will take your head off, and while he's doing that, you've got a dude with safety speed, but linebacker ferocity in Kamari House, who could also get the job done there as well. So there's a lot of excitement about someone like him. He's maybe better at this stage. There's a little bit more anticipation now what he can do than I would have thought a few weeks ago. Wide receiver group, they're small, but a lot of people like them. Jordan Shipp is having a great camp, not unexpected. Who's behind him? Is it going to be Alex Taylor, Chris Culliver, Kobe Paysour, finally healthy and maybe in a good situation with that room and with Garrick McGee as his position coach? And what about Isaiah Johnson from Michigan State? How much can he play? I think that room is going to go pretty deep, and they'll be able to play a lot of guys and be pretty comfortable with those guys, with your dude being Jordan Shipp. As far as everything else goes, Gio stuff is kind of like I expected it would be. What I'm hearing about him, Max would be a positive because he is the backup right now. And if they played a game tomorrow, they would be able to put him in a game, which is an incredible story. And
absolutely. And
if he gets into a game at home, he deserves a standing ovation.
Oh, absolutely.
People didn't like him last year. Because he wasn't pretty like Drake. He didn't sling it like Sam. So they're going to dump on him. But 47 touchdowns and 12 interceptions and 800 pass attempts in the SEC is pretty good. It wasn't terrible, and he had a bad start in the Minnesota game. We don't know what the rest of the season would have looked like. But I had one friend that I made him watch Max's press conference with us from last week, and this guy's just like, he hates Max Johnson. Never met him before in his life, of course, but he hates his guts. I said, watch that and tell me what you think. He's, I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to like him because you're trying to make me like Max. I said, no, I'm not. I just want you to have an open mind and understand that while football players look like human cartoon characters out there, they're really just dudes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go learn more about this dude's story. And he texts me the next day. He says, I hate you because now I want Max Johnson to succeed. So I think Carolina fans need to watch the interview wherever you can find it. There's a lot of media that was there. You can find it and understand his story. And also, if he takes the field at home, give him a standing ovation because that alone is an incredible success story. No matter what he does with the next pass, if he throws a pick, people are going to boo him. But the fact that he gets on the field is an incredible success story.
Standing O straight to a pick six. That's what I'm talking about.
Would that not be a North Carolina football thing here or what?
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's got a T-shirt written on it.
Duke and State fans would go crazy with that.
Maybe Max could try to NIL that thing.
That might be what makes him a multi-millionaire for years. I tell you, no. When we were doing the live watch party here together, and that happened, my heart broke for him. He was the only person that scored a touchdown for North Carolina in that game, and he did a little shimmy shake to do it too. It was awesome.
They were. I give Chip Lindsey credit for changing the plan at halftime that game. They said, look, sometimes you got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run, even guys that have run a lot before. And Max was having trouble with everything, but it wasn't just him. It was the offensive line. You had a true freshman in Aiden Banfield out there. You had a lot of new guys. As old as Austin Blasky was, he hadn't played a whole lot. And so Macks, who's not super mobile, was trying to deal with that. And I thought that Minnesota dialed up a lot of good stuff to defend him and throw him off, but they were starting to get a little bit of a comfort going with him. I wouldn't say it was a groove, but they were close to getting a groove going where maybe he could pop a big one and everything changes and he's fully comfortable. It didn't happen. I was in the stadium, I was in the press box, and in the press box, there wasn't a sound when he was laying out there. We had no idea. I mean, we had no idea how bad it was. I mean, it looked bad, and then later we found out, and then talked to Mack a couple weeks later. Mack's like, yeah, he was in Minneapolis for 2 weeks. He had 5 surgeries, nearly lost his leg. I thought, well, gosh, I didn't want to say it publicly. I didn't think that was right, but also Mack was 100%. He was telling like it was. When Max came back and got back to the Keenan Football Center, he couldn't sit upright for like 5 weeks. And he goes into a team meeting, like the players just melted when they saw him. And now, of the ones that are around that know his story, that he is a constant source of inspiration for him. So he may not play a snap this year, and if they're good, he could have a role in them being good for a lot of intangible reasons.
That's why I'm glad that Mack did try to get him back involved with the team, considering, everything that had happened with him. And that was, Mack said that straight off the get-go. He says, hey, right after the game, it's like, hey, we want to, see what's going on here, get him right, and then get him back with us. And I liked that. I thought that was something that Mack always made good decisions when it came to that, in my opinion.
There's a lot of genuine nature to him when it comes to those things that I talk to people now that he's that guy with everything. It's not like he plans it. It just comes naturally. Now, some people will say, well, there's some elements of Mack that are fake. I can see that, but it doesn't really matter. He's not there anymore. But I do think it's interesting when you look at what's there now after the way Mack ran the program. There had to be a foundational shake. I mean, they need to be 8.2 on the Richter scale in a lot of ways. And they did that. They ran a bunch of guys out. They brought in a whole new culture. For all the good things that were Mack, a lot of people around the athletic department didn't think a lot of those things would win football games or enough football games. And it didn't. Now it's straight up win football games. That's the culture. You're here to win football games. Do everything we say to win football games. The other stuff doesn't matter. You're a pro athlete now. So I don't want to hear your parents. Your parents aren't going to call me up and complain because you didn't get enough snaps or Johnny's in the slot too much. He needs to be out wide. Nothing like that at all. It's not happening like that. Mack would entertain those phone calls because that's the kind of guy he is. But now it's a different world, different program. And Belichick has worked in that world for 5 decades. He understands it. That was I think that was one of Mack's biggest struggles was the relationship suddenly didn't matter as much. It was dollars and cents and agents. And the relationship coaches have a harder time now than the ones who will just call it like it is and not really get too connected to you because they know that you could come in now and be gone tomorrow.
Right.
That's
you hit on something there that and if you can't talk much about this, that's perfectly fine. But I have to ask this question because it was brought up. When you said that when Belichick came in and he ran a bunch of guys out of there. Here's the thing. He brought this up in the press conference that they had during this offseason after spring or during the spring that they kind of, it's not like they're having to go in and cut a bunch of guys because they kind of already did that. Was that really the case? Did he go in after spring and was just like, hey, player, because we started trying to figure out who in the heck left after spring to start narrowing this stuff down. 2 guys in particular left after spring. I don't think they got ran out of town. I think, talk about Amari Campbell and Bo Atkinson. But do we know a finite number about how many was actually pushed out versus we're leaving because?
Yeah, I'm with you on that because when he said that, I'm starting to rack my brain about spring departures. And I think what he probably meant was departures leading up to spring. A lot of football coaches operate in the world of once you come back for workouts like January 10th, they're in the spring essentially. Mm-hmm. It's winter workouts, but those workouts are designed to get them ready for spring practice and obviously improve various different physical aspects. But the coaches, they're recruiting and they're planning spring practice. So they're in spring football mode already. So I think that's probably what he was what he was thinking. But yeah, they ran guys out. And some stories I won't tell here, but they ran some guys out that caused some problems with remaining players because they didn't understand it. Because again, and not that's a bad thing. It's a now thing.
Yeah.
Mack wouldn't have done that, but Mack was the right guy pre-2021. But when everything changed, he had a hard time with it. He had a hard time with it in part because he didn't have as much support as Bill has, obviously. Mack had a lot more than Larry had, but didn't have anywhere near as much as Bill has. And he needed more because he was hamstrung at times with some of the personnel decisions he had to make. But he was a really good coach for this program and this school and the way they like to do things pre-NIL and the portal going insane. But he wasn't the right one after that because I don't think that works in his wheelhouse. I think Bill Belichick handles it because it's such straight football all the time. Dollars and cents. It's a value thing. I've been told a story about how they looked at Bo Atkinson and said, yeah, he can get sacks, but where's the value on other snaps? If you get player A and player B and you put them up against Bo Atkinson, how many reps did they win? Do they actually give you more bang for your buck? It's clearly an investment reward thing. I'm not saying that's why Bo went out. One person told me that. I'm like, yeah, well, you don't just run off or disregard one of the best pass rushers in the ACC. But my point is that's the way they evaluate. They evaluate dollars and cents applied to every time your hand's on the ground, every time you run a rep. Where's the value? Which is why people look at the roster now. Well, that's not so impressive. They didn't go out and get a bunch of big names everybody thought they would. Well, Belichick won Super Bowls with guys that weren't big names until he made them big names. Now he brought Randy Moss in and it worked. He got him to shut up because he can do that. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And I think that that's one of the interesting things about how they came in and pushed guys out. It wasn't like when Dion took over, he said, hey, get the hell out of here. It wasn't that so much. It was the value of what you could produce based on what we're going to give you in terms of time, coaching, resources, and NIL. It's not worth it. And
said, hey,
you're too much of a holdover. Yeah, and you're too much of a holdover. See, the holdover mentality, too. The guys that are still in the program, they're among the toughest ones that were in the program because it's much more demanding now than it was just to get through. To get through Moses Cabrera's offseason conditioning, one guy said, I thought it was dangerous and I was going to die, basically. One player called it dangerous. No one said it was brutal. But they're saying it in a complimentary way, not in a critical way. And now they feel like they can accomplish anything because they made it through Moses Cabrera's offseason conditioning, which I think is really, really interesting because I never heard that talk about Brian Hess. The only things I've heard players say about Brian Hess is you don't want to tick him off because he's going to look at you a certain way for a week. And that's that. And he was critical. This is more uplifting. And here's the bar. We're not going to move it. You must scale it where it was maybe moved before.
See, that is something that I absolutely love. And because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Is it college football? No. What college football is the relationships that we talked about in there. But college football is moving. And it's moving. And so many people want to get stuck in what college football used to be and used to be great. And it was wholesome and, it was family oriented, this, that, and the other thing, but it's moving towards the pro model. Mac talked about all the time. We're moving toward the pro model very fast. And that's what the case is. And now that stuff like that is being talked about at our program, I'm excited moving forward. That's just me though. Go ahead.
Well, and this is just more of a me question. And I don't particularly ask about certain individuals. But I noticed there was a certain individual not on the baseball team this past season. That was Caleb Cost. Did he have to make a decision between one or the other? Because I thought he had abilities on the baseball team.
Yeah, he was fast.
And I don't know. But yeah.
Well, I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to Caleb since last football season. I was told that he chose to dive all in on football. Belichick loves guys that play both sports. He loves baseball players and lacrosse players.
He brought in a ton of lacrosse players.
Oh, yeah, because there's a body balance that you must have and a multitude of skills you must have to play those sports. Two of the hardest sports. Baseball is the hardest sport there is to play. I don't care what everybody says. And those guys tend to be, I wouldn't say more coachable, but they sponge easier. They adapt more quickly because in baseball, you have to go, if you go for the collar one night, you're 0 for 4, you strike out 4 times, you got to get up the next day and face a lefty who's throwing 97 and stuff's bouncing all over the place. In lacrosse, you can run up and down the field forever and do everything that's required in that sport and still struggle and not have tremendous success and sweat your off and not have a part really in the outcome of the game, or at least it appears that way from this. I don't know lacrosse like I do baseball, but he likes those guys that know how to shake off mistakes or shake off how it didn't work for you. I wouldn't call it failure, because in baseball, if you guys are baseball guys, every time you strike out or ground out or pop up, these guys remember it, and it goes in a little bank up here. So, yeah, they didn't succeed in that at bat, but they think it'll help them in future at bats. And Belichick loves guys like that. So from the physical aspect to the mental aspect to the composure, you got to have great – you don't see baseball players jumping up and down in the middle of a game without having done something ever. Because the composure aspect, he wants guys that are under control at the tensest moments. So he loves those kind of players. So as far as Caleb goes, I don't know. I was told that he made the choice, but that wasn't by anybody that would know 100% for sure. So I really don't know. He made the right decision, because if he's going to spend most of his time on a baseball team, which he may or may not have gotten on the field, and lose a lot of practice reps in the spring, he could have lost his job, because they have other guys that can play that job. They have enough back there that if they want to put Gavin Gibson at nickel, for example, they could do that and still play two good players at safety. So in order to keep his job or contend for it, he needed to be at spring practice.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And that, while we're on the baseball topic, since it's already been brought up, since you said you got the new resources and everything while you weren't able to cover baseball, does that mean we're going to see you at the Bosch this year?
Maybe not me, but we'll have somebody there. I love baseball. You can see I suffer in my love of baseball because of the piece of crap organization that I root for. But
no worse than
we will cover baseball. I don't know to what extent. We'll cover women's basketball. They just got the top commit in the country.
They did.
Matt Hart, how old am I? My first year in the business. That's Matt Harpering's senior year. I'll never forget his standing ovation when he left the court for the last time when he was at Georgia Tech at the ACC tournament. All 9 schools that were there, fan bases stood for him. His daughter is now going to play at Carolina. We're going to do some Olympic sports stuff. Anybody who likes golf, David Sisk is a golf freak, loves golf. And he told me a couple weeks ago, they got 3 golfers walking around that campus. They're going to make about $500 million each. So he's going to do some stuff on that and some other things. We're going to dabble in some of that stuff for sure. We've got resources. So absolutely. And you might see me at the Bosch.
Well, we've been trying to get this guy ready for golf season.
I even emailed Coach DiBattista, and we're still waiting. Hey, Coach.
You should do a Carolina golf podcast and have David Sisk on.
Do that.
Well, I mean, if Mr. Sisk is available and would like to talk golf, I will sit down and talk golf with Mr. Sisk.
He as great as he is at basketball, as much as he loves basketball, golf is his number one love.
I love golf. I'm not that good at it. I mean, I'm around 90.
That's a lot better than I would be. I played golf once in my life. I did it as a stunt. I had a radio show in Wilmington. I did it as a stunt for the radio show. And I did it at Beau Rivage, which is down, toward Carolina Beach, about halfway from Monkey Junction to Carolina Beach in that area. And their deal was, we're going to give away 2 rounds of 4 for whoever is closest to predicting what you'll shoot, what your score will be the first time you play golf. So literally the first time I ever picked up a club in my life was when I teed off, and I teed off with like a 6 or something like that. I didn't even tee off with the right kind of club. I don't know what the hell it's called. Still don't know what it's called. So people would call in for 2 days, and they would predict what I'm going to shoot, and whoever was closest got 2 rounds for 4 at Beau Rivage. Well, the closest one had like 158, and he was under.
Oh.
But
Hey, me and AJ can play golf together.
Here's the thing. I used the same club for the first 9 holes. I had a golf pro with me, who had he was a longtime golf pro. He was doing a radio show in Wilmington at the time. He was kind of retired. And he says, I'll go with you the first 9 holes. I'll watch you. I won't say a word. And then for the back 9, I'll start giving you advice. And he was laughing. He said, at least you didn't lose a ball. I didn't lose any balls at all. I didn't know about how you had to clean up the sand and all that kind of crap, which I didn't like. And so the first 9, I was like 127 or something like that. And the back 9, I was a lot better. But he actually told me what clubs to use. I used the same club for the first 9 holes. So part of it was, I'm going to wink at you guys. Part of it was a shtick to have some fun. Because a lot of people say, well, I bet you won't shoot, but like a 115. I'm one of those people to feel idiotic for thinking I would shoot a 115. So I enjoyed the fact that I shot a 178. I actually had someone, we had the, you have to fill out the score in the card. I had one of my listeners get a hold of that with one of the tees I use and get it in one of those box frames and gave it to me.
That is awesome.
That's the only time I have ever been on a golf course in my life.
Oh man,
I'm like, God, I shoot that. Why would I ever go back and ruin that story?
Oh man, I only play like once a year, maybe like once every other year, twice if I'm really feeling skippy.
What do you normally shoot?
Boy, it varies from like 120 to 140. I think the best I ever did was like a 117, and I was farting through silk. It was a great
I would think with the right clubs, and if I went and did it twice a year, I'd probably be in that range.
The first time I ever picked up golf clubs, and I still have the golf ball, I shot a 130. My very first time was a 133.
I don't feel that bad.
But since I've never shot over a 105 since then.
Well, that wouldn't be me.
Jock.
Especially if I'm using like a 6 iron for 9 holes.
Yeah, that's not advantageous.
No, I guess not. I learned as I went along. It was fun. He actually helped me. I birdied 2 holes in the back 9.
It's not a 178.
I was thinking, wait, hold on a second. No, is birdie under or over?
It's 1 under. So if it's a par 4,
bogey is over. That's right.
Bogey is over.
I'm messing with you guys. I know it's 1 under. See if you were.
Okay.
I was 2 over and I was 1 over on 2 holes, and I shot a 170. I told you I was 127 the first 9.
Oh, you really turned it around, son.
Because that's when he started giving me advice. He just laughed.
I mean, he could have said, "Hey, on the tee box, use this one."
No, I'm ripping it, man. I could have been in a batting cage. You wouldn't have known the difference. I would have done a lot better in a batting cage. I played that sport. I never played golf.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So when I went on the air that Monday, people were clamoring to find out, what did AJ shoot? I mean, people called up, and there were a couple callers that we would go take the call, and they would still be laughing. I have the tape of the show. They couldn't get their words out because they were laughing so hard at what I shot.
That is an incredible number, I will say.
It is. It's an impressive number. There aren't many things in life where you kind of frame the number 178, but I could frame my golf experience.
Can I hire somebody to do like an animated little reel of this segment right here? Because I want a little animated AJ going across my scrin using a 6 iron.
This is a much younger AJ, and I may have been out till like 4:00 in the morning the night before. I don't know. It is Wilmington, and I hadn't met my wife yet, so you never know.
Oh man! All righty.
Always a reason.
There's AJ. That's my boy. That's my boy AJ. My cheeks hurt. Oh man!
At least I still tell the story, and sometimes people are like, "Man, you shouldn't really tell that story."
Why?
It happened.
That's a fantastic story.
I love it. I love the fact that I went out there and did it, and I will never play golf ever again because I want that to be my standalone. I earned that 178, man, because I was on my way to 210, 220. If the golf pro that was with me, he was with me, and my radio producer TJ continues and been in DC for a long time. Used to actually be the lead producer at Sirius XM College Sports Radio. He was with me, and he was golfing as well. If they weren't with me and I did it by myself, I wouldn't have told a soul. I'd have lied. And said I never played golf before. But they were with me, so I can't lie. And they thought it was the greatest thing they ever seen. Pun intended.
Absolutely, it was. You kidding
I bet
me?
you guys didn't think we were talking golf for 15 minutes today.
No, but that's great.
I'm enjoying it.
This is good. If people made it on this far, I'm sure they're cackling their little tails off right now. But
I just finished a captain's choice tournament at one of the local courses, and me and my group shot 15 under. So
fantastic.
And I filmed a golf tournament. That's about as best as I'm doing.
I watched. I remember Tiger at the Masters in 97, walking up the green. I'll watch it.
Yeah,
but I won't ever talk about it like I know it. I think that would be disingenuous. I covered one golf tournament in my life, the 1997 Kemper Open in Washington D.C., and I did it because I was trying to. Because I'm a big football, basketball, baseball guy. I play all those sports in high school. I played them my whole life and know them really well and everything. And I never really was into golf. Didn't really find it very interesting. So I actually went and I was writing for this newsletter. I followed Vijay Singh for 6 holes. Because everybody said, you want to see the most powerful dude in golf tee off. You want to hear a sound that you won't hear from anybody else. It's when Vijay Singh tees off. So I followed him for 6 holes. And that was impressive. I was in awe. That sound I didn't hear from anybody else. So I wrote a little something about the newcomer to golf, so to speak. And what was most impressive to me was it wasn't that Vijay Singh hated everybody in his path because he was an ogre. It was the fact that his sound when he teed off was incredible. He didn't like if you coughed and you were 30 yards away, he'd stop and look at you like you just killed a family member or something. That's the thing. That's what I don't like about golf. You can't make noise and stuff.
That is awesome, man. That is. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna do. We'll do one more question each, and then we'll get out of here, man, because we've been going for right here about an hour. But
you gotta get going. I got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, you do. You're a busy man. This is, like I said, it's a living legend right here in front of us, dude. Anyway, so. So
I have a wife, a daughter, and now just one dog. So one of them died. So I come in 4th in this house. That's on a good day. Any kid that comes over for the day, I come in 5th.
Well, you're first in our hearts, AJ.
No legend, no legendary status. I'm an ATM, I'm a human ATM machine. That's what I tell my wife sometimes.
There you go. Get a t-shirt for that.
Good idea.
But if you had to summarize this team in one word for, guess what I'm trying to say, for a fan, if you're saying to a fan, AJ, what can we expand? And you had to summarize it to one word, what would it be?
That's a phenomenal question because as a guy who covers a team as a journalist, I would use the word fascinating. But fans don't want fascinating. Fascinating is no good when you're a fan, because it's emotional stuff, right? So for a fan, I mean, I find it extremely fascinating what's going on right now. For a fan, though, I would say probably, I think you should have optimism because a lot of stuff that needs to be in place is in place. Whether or not they have the personnel for it, we don't really know. A lot of people like to say that roster, it's not a very good roster. They're going to be lucky if they go 6-6 or whatever. Well, we don't really know what the roster is because nobody listening to this or watching this watched Jacksonville State last year. You don't know who Will Osteen is. Nobody paid any attention to UConn until the bowl game. So you really don't know who Price Yates is. How many people watch Boise? You don't know who Andrew Simpson is. I bet you nobody saw that play that I talked about that Kamari House made. So they don't know who he is. So people don't really know who these players are. And we'll find out if it's a collection of solid players who are very coachable and are great in the film room and are really good in pre-snap, they're going to be good. If they're not really good in pre-snap or they're just not talented at all, they're not going to be very good. I don't think this is going to be a team that hurts itself that much. So then it comes down to talent. Then it comes down to preparation. Then it comes down to what kind of adjustments do they make in the game. I also think it's really fascinating that you have a head coach and a lot of assistants who had the advantage of 3 preseason games and those combined practices where they scrimmaged some. By the time the Patriots got to their last opener, Bill Belichick had seen his team 5 times against somebody else. Now he's going to see him every day only against themselves. So where is that curve for him? He's got two curves. He's got that curve, and he's got this is all college. Everything's different. Hash marks, everything else. I'm sure being a football guy junkie that he is, a lot of that he probably grabbed onto last year watching his son at Washington. But what is his curve? That to me is, if his curve doesn't exist anymore and he's where he needs to be as a head coach, this team's going to be better than a lot of people think. That's my opinion. So fans should be optimistic that at least you have a lot of smart football people who know how to put the chess pieces in the right spots. And if they do that and those chess pieces are ready to make plays, then this will be a pretty solid football season. I think they're going to be a little bit better than what the average pundit thinks. But I also have the advantage of being around Bill Belichick as often as I have now, where each time I get the strong vibe that he is really fully immersed and is more a college football coach now than he was 2 weeks ago. And he's not just an NFL coach, but he's also a college football coach. That's my vibe.
All right. Well, I'm going to get you ready for your gambling podcast.
I'm scared about this, man. I've never done a gambling podcast before.
You're Vegas, okay? You're Vegas. Set the betting line for the wins and losses this year.
You're talking to a guy who had people ask me all the time, "What's the line?" I'm like, I have no freaking clue.
Vegas has it at 6.5.
Really?
Last time I seen it, it was 6.5.
Okay, this will show you how little I pay attention to that stuff. TCU or Carolina favored? TCU, right?
TCU.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I
remember I did read something a couple weeks ago where TCU was favored. That's grown, hasn't it?
I looked at it last night. It was 3.5. The points was 3.5, and I think money line was -110.
Was that before or after the post from the TCU quarterback?
That was before we did our podcast last night.
Oh, okay.
I got to look at what did he say? I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Just give it a gander whenever you get a shot. Just look up Hoover and a post that he made. It wasn't any words. Well,
I'm looking forward to seeing him play in person, if that means anything.
Yeah.
So I got to look it up now.
Some insider information that we don't have.
Yeah. No.
I don't. I don't think anybody knows. It's just a guess what's going to happen that night. I would tend to lean that TCU beats them because they know who they are more. It's a good team. They won 9 games a year ago. They got a really good quarterback. They're at a disadvantage because they don't have anything to base on their preparation.
Bruh.
So you're reading it and you're not telling me. So he gets to see it. And I don't get to know.
You want me to display this on camera?
AJ, what's your betting number?
I don't have one. I don't have one because it would be an absolute guess. I would be just as accurate spinning in a room and firing a dart. Because there's really no way. I think Carolina can win big. I think TCU can win big. It could be everything in between. It's not a cop-out answer. There's just no way of knowing. That's why I like this so much. I like the whole uncertainty factor because when we sit down and they kick off, nobody watching the game has any idea what's going to happen. Nobody from TCU, nobody from North Carolina. And if it plays out a certain way and some guy says, I knew that was going to happen. I told you to say, no, he didn't. He just guessed and he was right. So that's what makes it kind of fun to me. I have no idea. I'll probably lean TCU. I just think they know who they are. Carolina doesn't know who it is yet. And you got to play games to know who you are. Right. That's a tough opener. It's a good team. Like they were in the national title game 3 years ago. Right. It's not like it's a program that doesn't know what it's doing.
I picked TCU to win the game in our predictive podcast.
Yeah, I'm with you. Probably it'll be interesting to see if it's high scoring and how the fan base will react. Like Carolina loses 24-17, and it looks like there's some fixable things, and TCU might be pretty good. I think the fans will be okay with it. Not okay that they lost, but they won't start burning crap down. But if it's like 48-34, people are going to be irate to give up that many points.
Right, yeah.
So I think how it happens will have an awful lot to do with how people respond to what happens.
Right. Yeah, I predict Carolina to win that game, but it's going to be a nail biter, 3-point, probably win by a field goal to win the game type of deal. I don't see it being a runaway, by Carolina by any sorts. But I did pick that they would get the win with the crowd behind them. Everything else, they got a momentum. They're going to be excited. They're going to be ready to rock. And I know TCU will be too. But we'll see what they got. What old Hoovie has got over there.
Wouldn't it be a kick in the head if they lose because of a block punt?
Oh dear God Almighty!
For our conversation 3 hours ago.
Now fans are burning down bridges.
Now we're on fire.
Yeah, dude. Friggin' if Carolina loses the game, Feinbaum, which we'll get to right here in just a couple minutes after we get off the air here, is going to have a field day on First Take.
Yeah, he's been pretty critical, right?
Oh, he's been very critical.
I honestly, I don't really have time to pay a lot of attention to stuff like that. And I generally don't gravitate toward his show. I listen to stuff on the college sports radio when I'm driving to Chapel Hill or going out on errands or something like that. I think guys like Newhouse are pretty good. But Feinbaum, I know someone who knows him and has known him for a long time and knew him pretty well when he was building that thing in Birmingham. And he would just go light a match and stuff would burn and people would call up, and that was a show. And he made a ton of money because of it. I've been told that by this person who knows him that he's not genuine. He just says whatever he needs to say to get things rolling. Yeah. So that's fine. That's a way of doing business. He's successful. That's cool. I don't think I would be very comfortable doing that. So I can't take a lot of what he says very seriously if the true intent is just to get people riled up to generate response and feedback and stuff. That's what I've been told. I don't know. I don't listen to him enough. I see him sometimes on TV and he's kind of smug, but a lot of us are smug in this business for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah. And you are definitely an outlier to that, seriously, because that's why it's been so shocking to us to see like how open you've been with us and being like, hey, yeah, I got you, no problem. I'm like, dude,
I like what you guys do. I think you guys serve a purpose. I'm glad that the way technology has changed now, people aren't just getting stuff from mainstream media. When I got into the media, the arrogance of a lot of people was off the charts. I mean, you cover sports. I never understood why people would have. I'm like, this is the greatest thing. I studied computer science. That was my study. I didn't study journalism. I always wanted to do this, but I wanted to chase money. I grew up in the D.C. area. Everybody's chasing money. That's what I wanted to do. And my passion, what I really wanted to do was this. And I got into it and took every little job I possibly could. And I've somehow survived in this business. And to me, every time I go to a press conference or practice, it's a blessing. And I'm thankful for being there. And I don't understand how people can think that because they're there to cover it and basically serve as a liaison between that and the fans, that it's anything more than any other job. It's a cool job. It's fortunate we get to do some of these things if that's what you like. I've gotten a chance to interview and meet a lot of amazing people. I interviewed LeBron James in the Heat's locker room when all he had was a towel around him. I was in the Orioles clubhouse one time, and I told my buddy one time, I said, I saw Cal Ripken naked ass walking into the shower, and he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. He tells people all the time. I said, no, it's not. Seeing him walk in the shower was not the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? And
AJ talking to Bron after a 30-point blowout against the Jazz Dongs.
This was in Charlotte. This was when. How old was this? I have it up there. Charlotte Bobcats. I was covering the freaking Charlotte Bobcats. When Paul Silas used to complain about MJ all the time. It's pretty wild. And I talked to him in Charlotte, and my point is someone had to talk to him. So what? We're just sports writers.
Yeah.
If we stop covering stuff, they ban us all. They're still going to play the games. And the waves are still going to crash ashore just the same. But there are people in this industry in all industries that believe otherwise.
Right. Yeah, and
so what you guys do is you're sort of an antidote to that in a lot of ways. Because I don't think there's as much arrogance as there used to be. And part of it is because there's a lot more ways people can get their information and get their vibe. It's not just through mainstream media. It's not just through Tarheel 24/7, Inside Carolina, and the Raleigh News and Observer. I should throw Tarheel Tribune in there because I like R.L. Bottom. There's a lot of other ways. A lot of people would rather go hear what you guys say because you care deeply, because you're passionate and you're fans, than what some guy who doesn't have emotional skin in the game says. Some people want to go to someone like me because I don't have that emotional skin because they're going to get something completely objective, or they go to both. That's why I think you guys serve a great purpose, because there are a lot of passionate people that want to know what other passionate people think. Am I alone in feeling this way? And they go to you and they find out. And there's some others out there too that do some pretty good stuff, but I've always liked what you guys do because I think it's very grounded. It's very based.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
That's the nicest thing that somebody's ever said to me.
Yeah, that is it, man. And I appreciate it. And what you guys do has been awesome, man. I've always enjoyed listening to you guys. You guys were the first ones that I listened to. Back a few years ago when I first got into it, and I've stayed that way. I mean, I've heard everybody else, and everybody else does a really good job too. But I've always really enjoyed how you guys present it, and you
I appreciate that.
Don't BS. You state the facts, get out there, and have a little fun with it from time to time as well.
Jump ship.
Yeah, dude, by the way,
talk about my golf game, right? That's the fun, right?
Right. And also we mentioned this in the live show that we did, the Sunday Tarheel, but for us to go to an ACC kickoff event, right, and us just chilling out, and you roll in, I mean, button-up shirt, whatnot, with some daggone slides, cool as a cucumber, going around, hey, to everybody. That is something else, man. That is absolutely crazy.
We talking about the ACC kickoff?
Yeah, when you just rolled up the escalator and you're just, everybody's like, hey, it's AJ. You just rolling out, chilling out, had the hairdo, got your slides on, no socks, didn't even care. I love it, dude. I love it, man.
Truth be told that I forgot to bring socks with my shoes. And I didn't want to wear them without socks because they would shoot up my feet. So I just put these things on. I'm wearing them right now.
That is awesome, dude. That is, Alex said it, aura. That's aura, baby.
That is aura. You just light up the room when you walk in.
It's very comfortable for me. When I made the decision that I was going to step back from THI, I did so, hoping and praying that something would come up, because I didn't retire. A lot of people thought I retired. You guys knew that I didn't, because I told you, look, I'm just trying to get more life balance. And then this opportunity came along literally a week later, which was incredible. And it's better on every level for me. So I'm very grateful to have that. I'm very grateful to not have lost the opportunity to be at the ACC kickoff. And I just find it very comfortable. I like being that element. I like a lot of the people in the media. And it reminds me of the blessing of doing this, because I didn't start out my professional life in media. I know what it was like in other situations. And the worst day being a sports journalist is better than the best day that I was working in the computer industry, which sucked.
All right. Well, AJ, dude, I absolutely appreciate you coming out here, hanging out with us, and being willing to talk some Carolina football with us. It's an exciting time as a fan, and considering we're just a couple weeks away here from the first North Carolina kickoff as Bill Belichick as the head coach, is absolutely wild time, and we're glad that we get to do that right here alongside you. And just to take all this in together, man. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing, dude. I want you to plug all your stuff, sites, social medias. I want you to go ahead and do all that right now for somebody that may be in here that hasn't heard from you. That'd be crazy. I don't know how many people that is, but if there happens to be some random person that happens to not know who you are, please plug all your stuff. It'll all be down in the description below.
Imagine going on and not having to endure me and be a Carolina fan or an ACC fan. That's not a terrible thing. We're Tarheel 24/7 now. What is our Twitter handle? Hold on. It's all new. I'm still getting used to it, guys. Because
I love it. I love it, dude.
I recorded a daily drop last week, and I had to stop 3 times because I kept saying Tarheel Illustrated, this THI publisher, and all that kind of crap. We're Tarheel. We're at Heels. We're at Heel 24/7. At Heel 24/7. Our Facebook is still messed up because Facebook takes forever to change the banner.
I noticed that.
Everything on our page is Tarheel 24/7 or 24/7 Tarheel, but it still says Tarheel Illustrated. So that is in process of being changed. And of course, YouTube, we're, I think, Tarheel 24/7. I'm still getting used to all that stuff. If you just look for us, you'll find us. We're all over the place. And we're organically working on our Instagram page. I'm kind of curious to see how that goes without promoting it.
Right. Well,
so,
dude,
I appreciate it, man. And please do me a favor. Keep me up to date with what's going on medically with you.
I'll do it. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll keep you informed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to go check out Tarheel 24/7 and keep it locked right here with the Hill Brothers as we continue on our journey to the very first game on that Monday night against TCU. Got a lot of stuff coming up soon, and can't wait for it. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And as always, go Heels.